all day long. Have you ever felt stuck or trapped? Well, that was me the summer of 1982. I was working at a sweatshop in Los Angeles Garment District. It was 105 degrees, no air conditioning, just this fan in the corner of a warehouse in the middle of Los Angeles. Dozens of seamstresses worked side by side, Asian, Hispanic, just putting together blouses. Some of them would put together the sleeves, some of them put together the collars, and some would put together those little tags that read, "Made in the USA." I would show up every morning for my 12-hour shift, armed with my little scissors in hand, and my first job was to go and collect the finished blouses from large bins. I would go and just trim those little pieces of thread left behind, and then I would move on to another part of the sweatshop and hang them, steam them, and put garment plastic around them. I dreaded that part the most. Rows and rows of plastic. Plastic everywhere, just sticking to my arms, to my legs, to my cheeks. Just unbelievable. I wanted to pass out some days. And I would come home, and my dear aunt, who was the survivor in the family, would always try to cheer me up, telling me that I should be so grateful to have an honest job as a new immigrant, how blessed I was to have it. To be honest with you, I wasn't grateful. I was ashamed of that job, and I was afraid that what my dad had told me the week before he died was never going to come true. He had told me that I was smart and that I would never have to use my looks to get ahead, and I was going to use my brain. Now, I was 12, so I didn't know what he was talking about. But as I was there in this sea of plastic, there was just a voice inside me that kept on saying, "This is not me. I don't belong here." Now, I imagine you all know what I'm talking about because we all have experienced a workshop or a sweatshop in our lives. Sweatshops are setbacks. Sweatshops are losing our voice, our identity, giving up on ourselves, staying in the wrong job way too long, staying afraid. And as I just could hear that part of me saying, "This is not me," something just clicked. I knew that there was much more than that. My dad used to say, it takes one move to change the momentum of the game. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that a brave move can in fact do that. A sweatshop is nothing more than a classroom, really not a final destination. And that day, as I just felt fainting, I went ahead and decided that I was not going to come back the next day. I counted my blouses for the day, collected my $27, and I got in the bus and decided I'm not coming back. Now, as I'm riding the bus home, reality hits me. In about an hour, I'm going to have to tell my mom what I decided to do, even though I had no plan and we needed the money. But here's one thing that I learned since. If you forget who you are, you better remember who you don't want to become. Because when you know that, then you can make the right move. And as I was telling my mom, I decided, "Mom, I'm going to look for a job, and if I don't find something this week, I will go back." Now you can imagine, I was highly motivated. And I began to look for jobs in places that I was too afraid to go before. I looked everywhere. And at the end of that week, I got 2 job offers. I wasn't going back. One of the jobs was at a fast food joint in Beverly Center, which is the mall, the fancy mall outside Beverly Hills. I would be a cashier and then washing pots and pans at the end of the day. The second job was a job at a Hispanic doctor's office. Now, if I were your daughter, which job would you want me to take? My mom begged me to take the office job. She said, think about it. You get to wear dresses and pantyhose and look pretty every day. Emerson once said that to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you into someone else, being yourself is the greatest accomplishment. Now, I also learned that if you're going to succeed at being yourself, you're going to have to disappoint somebody. That day, I disappointed my mom because I could see the writing on the wall that if I came to work to that doctor's office where every nurse, every doctor, every patient spoke Spanish, I would never learn English. I can tell you that I made the right move that day. But I also know that I could have never made that decision at 16 had I not gone through the sweatshop first. As I sat and I talked to all these women that had been there for about 5, 15, 25 years, that wasn't their dream job. They never expected that to be their life, but they were too busy just surviving instead of learning new skills so that they can thrive. One move can change the momentum of the game. Now, how do we thrive beyond the sweatshop? Not too long ago, actually a few years ago, I was invited to speak to a group of high school students in the inner city who had great potential to thrive if they could just go to college. And yet they faced insurmountable odds because their sweatshops were at home. Like this young girl who told me that at night she would come home and couldn't even finish her homework. She would hide herself and her little sister in the bathroom because she was too scared of the men that her mom brought home. Until that moment, I had never shared that story, that I had been a sweatshop girl. I had gotten out, it was behind me, I was thriving. I've moved on. But I can tell you that as I watched this young woman, I realized that sweatshops are really all around us. They are in classrooms. They are in boardrooms, even C-suites. And as I looked at her, I also realized that I was blessed to have a father who gave me a baseline of who I was. And if I didn't share my story, that young woman and the other students there may never have the voice of a mentor giving them that baseline. So I told them the story I just shared with you today. I gave them the same lessons. I told them that one move could change the momentum of the game. Now, you know what is interesting? I've since shared this with students, college graduates, even my corporate clients. And everybody asks the same thing. How do you do that? How do you make that move that can change the momentum of the game? When you are too close to that sweatshop, when you're stuck there, it's hard to see that move. So what I did is I handed each and every one of them a stack of sticky notes. And their job was to just think about the moves that they needed to make in order to reach their big, hairy, audacious goal, going to college. For them, it was passing history with a B, or taking the SAT, or filling out the college application. And the one I gave them, every morning repeat, I will persevere until I succeed. 2 weeks later, I got home and there was a stack of handwritten letters by these students. Some of them were 5 pages long. They brought me to tears, especially the one from this young woman who wrote, "Mrs. Keckler, I've been waiting all my life to meet someone just like you. Now I know I will make it." I am telling you, over the last 30 years, I have achieved more than I ever thought it was possible for me. But as I read those words, I realized that that was the purpose of the sweatshop. That's what sweatshop experiences are for, to give hope to others and let them see that there is an opportunity for them at the other side. Now I'm going to make a confession. Sweatshops are not a one-time occurrence in our lives. You probably know that. And not too long ago, I received the same message from 3 different people: a coach, a friend, and a total stranger. And they all called me out, and they said, Maria, you are not taking care of yourself. You take care of everybody else. You don't take care of you. And because of that, you are not thriving the way you could. Very humbling. I am grateful for people that stand in the gap and they are willing to confront you like that. And it really brings me back to where do I go from here? What do I do now? Back to the beginning. I have to quiet myself, and I have to listen to that voice that is inside of us that says, this is not me. I don't belong here. And it does take one move to change the momentum of the game. I get to hear my Father's voice all over again. Now, I don't know where you are now, and I imagine that you have experienced sweatshops in your lives, and it's not rare that in an audience of this size, at least one of you may be in one right now. So if you indulge me, what I'd like to do is ask you all to close your eyes, and I would love to give you the gift that my father gave to me, who said one time, baby girl, you got this. So as I sit here and I see you all successful, unstoppable, empowering men and women, I tell you, you got this. It's time to thrive again. It's time to leave the sweatshop. Make your one move and change the momentum of your game, because there's someone out there that has been waiting all their life to meet someone just like you. Thank you.